0. Is it loaded? Welcome back, everybody. Back is Cubfidential with your boy Tariq Richardson, intern here at Sideline Sports LLC. And here we got today on the show, right? We got my boy JB Ellis, Denzel Snipes, and Jacob Christner on here. Hope you're having a good day. In which that I will be bringing up my guy JB Ellis.
Tariq, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, JB. Thanks.
Thanks. We got a packed show tonight. We took last week off, catching up from our traveling up to the Hall of Fame. Let's start with the Hall of Fame. We got to see Pat Hughes inducted into the broadcasting portion of the Baseball Hall of Fame. We got to hear his induction speech. And we got a great question that we asked him during the press conference when he was there with John Lowe, who was also inducted, the writer from Detroit. Two phenomenal people that got elected into the Writers Wing and Broadcasting Hall of Fame a couple of weeks ago. So Tariq's going to bring up the video. We're going to watch that real quick, and I'll tell you more about the experience.
There's time to tell the Al McGuire story, but I'm going to tell it here because...
All right, so Tariq's going to bring up that video. We're just having a little technical difficulty.
There's time to tell the Al McGuire story, but I'm going to tell it here because I'm dying to tell somebody this story. Al taught me how to hitchhike. All right, we did a game at Louisville, Marquette against Louisville. It's a Saturday afternoon, and I said, Al, let's go ahead and get a cab and go back to the airport. Nah, save your money. Somebody will recognize me. We'll hitchhike and we'll go to the airport and save the cash. I said, well, Al, I've never really hitchhiked before. Let me tell you, it's real complicated. Stick out your thumb and start shaking it. All right, so that's what I did. And exactly as he said, the second car, somebody recognized the great Al McGuire. The guy rolls down his window. Hey, Al, you need a lift? Yeah, me and my buddy are going to the airport. Next thing I know, I'm in the back seat of a total stranger's vehicle. Al McGuire is engaging these two young guys in stories about getting technical fouls and working referees and coaching in the NCAA championship and just all kinds of funny stories. And you know, these two kids today, every Thanksgiving and Christmas, they're retelling this story, and they will for the rest of their lives. And I'm just sitting there listening, thinking, I can't believe what I'm experiencing. We get to the airport, and I said, Al, that was truly amazing. You're probably still going to turn this in on your expenses, aren't you? Nah, I don't cheat the small stuff. I got enough big scams going. So I was influenced by Al mainly because of his attitude and how much fun he had and how much he loved being at the game. Good question, though. Thank you.
So that was the great Pat Hughes, the radio voice of the Cubs. Kind of cool that, you know, he liked my question. He said, great question there. You know, it's always an honor to have somebody of Pat's stature think that we asked him a great question. So that was fun. You know, while we were there, we got a chance to talk to the CEO of the Cubs, Tom Ricketts. I spoke with him for a few moments about what a great move it was bringing in Cody Bellinger. He was telling me about the Friday night's game, how Cody had a really good game. Talk about how their young talent is looking well. We got a chance to talk to Ryan Sandberg, got a picture with him. Great guy. Hopefully, you know, we can get some of those guys onto Cubfidential. You never know. But it was a great experience seeing Pat get enshrined, you know, and to learn so much about him. I mean, he worked with some of the greatest people in sports. He worked with Bob Uecker, Al McGuire, and the list could go on. And, you know, such a humble man. It was quite an experience. Let's bring on Jacob Christner. Let's talk about some Cubs baseball, though.
What's going on?
Not much. Just watching this game. They bunted the runners to second and third. Morel up 0-2 count now, 1 out in the top of the ninth down a run. So pretty interesting. I mean, Morel can't strike out here. He's got to put the ball in play.
No question. But it's like, and I mean, it just depends on it. But here's the thing also is one of the biggest things also is the fact that Kyle gave up a big boomer after getting overturned, but then he could have easily bombed out and given up a couple, 3 big runs and got a big out to stay tied.
Yes,
What?
I think Ross took him out a little early. Again, no love lost for me and Mr. Ross, but
Yeah,
it is what it is. They have a chance to win the game. You want to make the playoffs, you want to win the division. These are games you have to win, and these are situations where at bats are big. Morel just fouled off a pitch behind the plate, struck out looking there. That's a horrible out. Pitch was down the middle. Let's not talk about tonight's game. I had enough of that one.
the big thing I say with it is that Kyle's may not be the same anymore, and I don't think he's going to be, but he's the one that makes a big pitch like he did and a big out with being tied at 2. Those are what you do in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he can't strike out looking there, Morel. But let's talk about the Cincinnati series, which was a huge series. The Reds started out at first place, and the Cubs did what they did to the Pirates. They went into the series, they laughed at the division leader, took 3 out of 4 games, scored 46 runs in 4 games. Tell me about that series.
The Reds have been a surprise throughout the year. So we were thinking after all those crappy teams we were beating, that's going to be a little tougher, and the first game was. But then completely just bombed the heck out of the ball the rest of the time. Completely bombed the heck out of the ball. And truthfully, what I loved about it is it wasn't just bombing a whole bunch of home runs. They hit in every which way, which that reminds me of the World Series year. You hit in every – I don't like seeing all home runs. I don't like seeing all everything. You need everything when you're getting there, and they did that in that series.
You know what was impressive is they should have gotten a 4-game sweep. The first game they should have won. They lost by 1 run, and they played really great baseball. And they've been playing phenomenal baseball since the All-Star break. And Horner just walked on 4 pitches, bases loaded, 2 outs, and Ian Happ, number 8, is back.
Big player up there.
This is what makes your season. If you want to be an elite team, this is a game you got to find a way to win.
This is baseball. I mean, this is playoff baseball. We thought we were going to go through another year going through sellouts and talking about the team, and we're looking at a possible playoff.
It's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. Now I'm going to ask you a situational question here. They brought in Bickford. He threw the last at bat was 4 straight balls. They were close, but nowhere, not in the strike zone. Do you swing at the first pitch if it's a good pitch, or do you take a strike here?
Take it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of taking strikes. I don't like to swing until I get a strike. That's always been my strategy.
Yeah, I don't take it. I can't. That's the thing. They can groove one and you're 1 and out, and then base loaded 2 outs. You don't want to do that.
Well, first pitch was a strike in the upper part of the strike, so it was a good pitch. But Happ went with taking the pitch, which I agree with. So now he's behind in the count. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the Cincinnati series was quite interesting. They did what they needed to do. 0-2. Swung through that pitch.
Right.
The pitching was good. The hitting was even better, and they played great team baseball. So how do you improve on that? When you go, the Pirates were in first place, they swept them. Cincinnati came into Wrigley in first place. They took 3 out of 4. They should have taken all 4. What do you do to make yourself a better team when you're doing this? How can you improve on this?
I think you play Tauchman every day. You don't play that stupid, it was a lefty. It was a lefty, and we just set him for a 198 hitter. I mean, you got to play him every day. You got to play your horses every day. That's the first off. It's just what it is. I mean, that's the thing about Ross that will just drive you nuts is he's doing the whole Joe Madden deal, and it's like, again, things that you would learn in the minors. This is a team. He's got the roster, right? We'll keep saying until they prove me wrong that it's a manager away from a World Series.
So after Cincinnati leaves, they're still at home, and in comes the hot Atlanta Braves. This team is the best team in baseball. by far right now, and the Cubs take 2 out of 3 from the Braves. What are your thoughts seeing the Cubs go out there and take 2 out of 3 from the best team in baseball?
That completely shocked me. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. I see them all the time. They are a monster, a complete and utter monster. And I was like, oh, we're going to get this. Okay, this is going to end. I mean, they're going to score 15, 20 runs. No. The Cubs came through, and I'm like, now they're for real. I told this to Bodkins one night, and I'm sorry we don't have him on tonight. I told him one day, this showed me we're real. You can go because you face off against teams like the Braves in the playoffs. You cannot choke up in the regular season, and boy, they were ready, and that was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you got Steele who gets his 13th win. 7 strikeouts and 5 of the third in Game 3, which was just lost. Hap struck out at a pitch outside. That was bad.
It is, unfortunately. We don't need to be winning 2-3 and then from the Braves and losing 2 or 3 to the Mets. That was a tough one.
No, you got to win 2 out of 3 of these series against teams that are not that good. Now you travel to Toronto over the weekend. You got a tough series with a team that's wants to get into the playoffs. So
Toronto's a beast themselves. That's going to be a tough one on the road.
Yeah, this was a kind of a must-win for me, but it dropped to 2.5 back, still tied with Cincinnati for the last wild card spot.
Yeah.
But you take 2 out of 3 from the Braves, and what can you say? You play the best team in baseball, and you show them that you can compete. I think that gave them a lot of confidence, and it should.
Well, they showed that they can compete, and it's like the Toronto boy. If they could take 2 or 3 from Toronto, if they could take a winning series from Toronto, that would be something. That's a 4-game series in Toronto, isn't it, or is it 3?
3.
Boy, if they could take 2 or 3 from Toronto, wow! Especially with Atlanta and everything, and going on the road, that'd be big.
Yeah, that's huge. What I've noticed this year is they don't play as well on the road as opposed to home.
That's the funny thing. When the team is bad, when they're usually bad, they actually play pretty well on the road. It's been that way over the years. And they have a bad times at home. But when they become good, they go everywhere, and sometimes they struggle on the road. You can't tell. And get enough.
Yeah, they play down to the level of their competition. I think that's the biggest problem that the team has had. They play the way that the team they're playing against. If they're playing a good team, they play their best baseball. If they're playing a bad team, they play their worst baseball. And that's a huge problem.
Yep, absolutely. And here's the thing. One of the things about it is, I mean, we hated losing that one, but it was also in New York. It was a travel. Probably should have been swept, to be very honest, but we got lucky in the second game. So forget about it. And we know that Ross is a reason because he keeps messing around with Tauschman, who is a horse. So we know, and plus the fact that he could have brought in Huas tonight earlier instead of Wesniewski. Otherwise, it'd be tied going to the 10th because Huas pitched his lights out tonight. Yeah,
I mean, I still think Ross can't handle the bullpen and the starters. I mean, I've said that from last year, and he proves me right again in a winnable game.
Well, give credit to its due. Seriously, give credit to where it's due. After giving up that big homer, give credit to Hendricks for recovering tonight, getting a big out to stay in.
Yep, exactly.
That's a World Series type of pitch. Remember, he's got the ring to prove it. That's a World Series type pitch. If they can get themselves far, they're going to need him doing that.
So let's talk about last night's game. The Cubs win 3-2. Tauchman and Bellinger both homer. Talia gets his 7th win, which, as bad as he's been this year, he's getting a little bit better, it looks like. And that was big on the road to get the win.
And I keep saying it's like you got 2 14-win seasons, one with a miserable Pittsburgh team. You're not bad. There's a reason. You're not the greatest, but you're going to have these things. And if you win 14 in Yankee Stadium, you're not bad. So it's like, this is what I was saying. It's like, yeah, he was having a bad year, but I'm not going to call him worthless. Like, You can get on a hot streak if you're capable. If you have those kind of wins, you're capable. That's all I was saying. I mean, my guy's always going to be Hendricks, but that's all I was saying about Talion. And this is what I was expecting in the first place. It just came later.
No, I definitely agree. I think he's a good fourth pitcher, which is what he is. You know, he's not going to be your ace. He's not going to be your number two. He's going to be a back of the rotation guy. He can eat up a lot of innings, you know, and he can keep you in games. But he'll have a couple of bad games here or there. But he's definitely not, you know, he's a solid, dependable back of the end starting rotation.
Oh, absolutely.
So we all know I didn't write this next question. And we'll update it. The Cubs are now 2.5 out of the NL Central, and they still hold on to the final wild card spot.
Right.
I don't know who in their right mind would have wrote this. Has Ross figured it out? So I'm going to answer first. Hell no. That was bad. We saw that tonight. The guy is not a good manager. Him and Aaron Boone should create a company together. You know, maybe go into yachting.
It'd go bankrupt. It would go bankrupt. But
you know,
no, he hasn't. He hasn't because this is where you see. Not everything's the manager. You can win with bad managers. You can win games because you've got good rosters. It's these little moments that make the bad manager. These are the things that Ross is going to mess with, but Boone's going to mess with. That's what the whole thing. And no, he hasn't figured it out because he hasn't. It's like this isn't a Dusty Baker thing or the original Jim Leland from way back, you know, who figured those deals out. This is a guy that did not learn from the third base coach, being a third base coach. He didn't learn from the minors. He basically learned from pretending that he's playing cosplay Madden.
Yeah. I just, you know, I don't think that he's the guy for the job. I'd like to see them make a change, but not going to happen in the middle of the year, obviously.
No, not with anything. You're not going to. That would see because we wouldn't get anybody. We wouldn't get. If you get rid of him now, he would be not liked around the league. You understand?
Yeah.
He'd be liked around the league. So if you got him while they're in a win streak, then what kind of big managers are you going to get now?
Exactly. So let's go to the next topic. Let's talk about what happened across the city over in Guaranteed Rate Trash Can. I finally got to see the park last night, and so I'll give you my little background of it. So I had scout seats, which is kind of like going to the Diamond Club. They give you like a pregame meal, very beautiful, nice, good food. You know, great seats, fifth row behind home plate. But one of the newer stadiums in the league, there's nothing to like about it. You know, you look at these new stadiums now, you got Camden, which started the whole revolution. And I could go on with stadium after stadium. This is just an eyesore. There's nothing pretty about it.
Where's Soldier Field? Not in the most wonderful area. I've been to Soldier. It's not in the most wonderful. The Wrigley Field's in a beautiful area. You're not good.
But Baltimore's not. Baltimore's in like the worst area of Baltimore.
Yeah,
and
Baltimore's a unicorn. Baltimore's a unicorn. It's like I'm just saying, the Wrigley's in a beautiful area. Turner Field was a decent stadium, nice, but it was terrible at night, horrible. It's like, what do you do? It's like Guaranteed Rate. I'm not expecting it to be much better. It's in a terrible area.
Yeah, you got to build a better stadium than that. It's horrible. Very disappointed. But let's get to Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez. Down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson. What a great call.
Well, this is what I keep saying. You heard me over and over. Quit pretending you're tough guys. Quit trying to swing. You're not trained for it. Because remember this, Anderson got the first two shots, and truthfully, Ramirez did basically a haymaker, got lucky.
Without a doubt. I mean,
guess what? Trained people don't get lucky. They catch it. These aren't trained guys. Anderson, you're not trained. So I laugh at the whole thing because I hate seeing them. Hockey players are trained because they've trained to do it, like the ones that fight.
Right.
You're not trained to do it. Quit thinking you are. There's three. I always keep saying there's three reasons you need to be a tough guy: protect yourself, protect your girl, and make money. And making money should die at 30 for fighting. You know what I'm saying? You need to go, huh?
It's pretty sad to think. I mean, these guys, their contracts are millions of dollars. God forbid you get hurt in a fight like that and ruin your career.
No.
Is it worth it? I mean, granted that almost never happens, but is it really worth it?
Use your mind, and if you need to fight, use it to if someone's breaking into your house and you bury his face inside of your couch. Then number one, you protected your family, and number two, you've got the rep. Then no one's gonna mess with you again. That's the only way we ever need to know that. We don't need to see you be doing it on the field, and especially when you lose now. People thought Tim Anderson was a badass. Now they know different.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to our Cubs. Let's go to the hot Cub time machine.
Yeah.
Let's go back to 2016. Kyle Schwarber, who was out after being from the third game of the year, comes back for the World Series and goes a phenomenal 7 for 17 with 2 RBIs in the World Series. Let's talk about that.
Oh, it was beautiful. Beautiful. It was gorgeous. And it was like, and you got to remember that kind of showed the technology of training, because remember, it used to take 2 years off your life if you had an ACL. This one came back in the same year. And guess what? Next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be halfway through the season. You know, it's going to be a different type of thing. That's just the way things are now. And it's like, and in 2016, we got somebody back in the same year for the first time ever. It's going to get bigger and bigger. The medical technology is going to get bigger and better and better.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's phenomenal to think that he was able to come back after that so quickly, and to not just come back and be as good as he was after, being out from live pitching for basically the whole season.
Yeah. And that was the thing. And well, the thing about Schwarber is he can get on hot streaks. He's a 200 hitter, but he can get on hot streaks. And his hot streaks are ridiculous. And that's the big thing, though, is like, but to me, that showed medical technology more than his deal. And considering also he had a lot of singles, had his little thing, it's like, you got to remember, he couldn't run because his knee was still getting repaired.
No, without a doubt. It was very interesting to see. And I was definitely impressive to watch.
Oh, yeah.
To me, I mean, not the part coming back, because, I mean, that part was amazing in the scientific aspect, but to not see live pitching and to be able to go 7 for 17 after not seeing it for so long, it shows how good of a hitter he is.
Well, you're not overthinking it. You know what I'm saying? You're not overthinking when you're out there. You're already in the World Series. There's nothing to get. Truthfully, it's like getting to the under 100 when you're in poker, under 100 people, and then you're with the tables. You're like I did 10 tables left. When you're under 100, top 100, you're starting $75,000. Truthfully, unless you are a professional poker player, there's no pressure anymore.
Definitely, I completely agree.
When you're in the World Series, there's no pressure anymore. You've made it.
Without a doubt. So let's get to our cover dud. And are the Cubs the hottest team in Major League Baseball right now?
Good Lord, yes. And it's like beating the Braves showed that. It's not just the wins. And I know what happened with the Mets, but they're showing they can face it with anyone. So, yeah, they no question are.
Yeah. I mean, do you think right now, the way it's stacked up, that they're going to win the division or make the playoffs? Where do you see them ending up?
I'll go find a wild card. Ross just makes too many flubs like he did tonight to really catch up on those. But I can see a second wild card and getting yourself a shot, no question.
So, with that being said, is that enough for him to come back? Are you happy as a Cubs fan with that?
Go get a Mattingly. Finish the job.
I completely agree with you. So where can people find you, Jacob? Sunday
mornings now, by the way, is I'm on Professor and the Pupil with Scott. Monday nights is a new show called It's let's see, it's the Sniper of the Pundit, and it's the top row about pro wrestling. Wednesday nights is 2 shows, the Sports Exchange and this one. Thursday nights is Pundit's Pundit. And then from there on out, I'm a backup whenever they need me on Gauntlet, and then go on. And plus, I'm helping on a couple of movies and staying busy.
So I'm really excited about the Off the Top Rope show that you and Denzel are doing. Tell me a little bit about that, because I know it just started last week.
Yeah,
this week,
good
actually.
show. Good show. Love it. It's basically we're talking wrestling, and once we're working on a thing where once a month we're going to try on a special night on a test run. But we're going to be trying to find special non-copyrighted shows and basically do Mystery Science Theater with them, like not shows but the matches.
That's an awesome idea. I look forward to it.
It's just we have ideas like that kind of thing. We're going to do a test run one night, so it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I think it's going to be a phenomenal show. I love the way the two of you guys work together. I think it's going to be one of the best shows on the network.
Yep, absolutely. And I love this, and I'll tell you this. It's like I've got a thing. I got 2 on Wednesdays and 1 on Thursdays, and I think I'm going to be a lot more refreshed from it.
There you go. Well, Jacob, I appreciate your time. We'll see you next week. This is Cubfidential, JB_ the program, Sideline Sports every Tuesday, 8:30. Make sure you're tuning in. It's on the NFL Alumni Network and DBTV. We got Cubfidential every Wednesday at 10, and the South Florida Tribune right prior to that at around 9 o'clock. Make sure you guys are watching all the shows. Until next week, guys, we'll see you. And let's hope we do well against Toronto before we come home.
Yep. Take care.